What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today we're having a look at the Pirate Alliance KIZUNA Clash versus Jack. And in this video, we're going to be covering what the bosses do, what you guys should be expecting heading into this fight, and we'll also talk about the teams, free-to-play teams, that you could aim to build in order to take on these fights. And of course, I'll bring you guys my own personal teams once the event is officially released. I still have no idea what teams I'm going to be building yet, because it really does depend on what kind of pulls I get on the KIZUNA Clash Sugo Fest, which I will be live streaming. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure to go down below in the video description. My Twitch channel is always linked down below in every video I upload, so make sure to go ahead and check it out. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So shout out to GameWith for these articles giving us some information about what we should be expecting heading into this event. So here we have the first floor of the versus strength variation, by the way. Starts off as a power, which is the red attribute Jack fight, okay? In this quest, you have to get a team that is built of red, blue, and yellow characters. These characters will be receiving the minus 15 turns of cooldown at the start of the quest. Remember that there is a boosted list for this event as well, and building a team with those characters is going to help you out a lot too. Moving on though to stage 2 versus King. He's a blue character with 4 turns of increased defense. He has 2.5 million HP, and that's all he does. He has 4 turns of increased defense. Although after the first turn he does inflict burn, you don't really want to deal with that, and he does reverse your specials after turn 3. So you definitely want to kill him on first turn. You don't want to deal with any of these other debuffs. So 2.5 million, 4 turns defense up, and he's a blue unit. So that's all you really need to know for stage 2. And then for the final stage versus Jack, just immediately off the bat, he is a red character. Obviously, this is the red fight. He has a full immunity buff. He's also immune to blow away, and he also has the health cut reduction. So health cuts like do no damage to him basically. Normal attacks only, of course, is a given for most KIZUNA clashes at this point. And you can see paralysis is going to be here, and block slots. That's mainly what's going to be happening. So block slots, paralysis, normal attacks only, the health cut immunity, and also the blowaway immunity, and then full immunity from regular debuffs. And then also after level 31, he's going to give your right side of the team 15 turns of Deadly Seal, which is Special Bind. That's ridiculous. There's not a lot of ways you can get around that, especially if you are building for free-to-play. We'll go ahead and have a team for you guys here in a moment. And then also something to note as well is that if you activate an orb boosting special, he's going to remove your beneficial effects and any stored values that you have. So you want to make sure that you have an orb boost that you can carry into this fight, or have a support effect that provides an orb boost. Just do not activate a special here that does an orb boosting effect. Technically, you can still use Pudding, for example, although Pudding doesn't get the cooldown at the start of the quest, right? Because I think it's only, yellow, blue, and red. So Int doesn't even get the cooldown, so Pudding isn't really that big of an option. So there aren't too many ways you can get around it, but there is a way, a very, very good way you can get around it. We'll talk about it in a moment as we head over to the free-to-play teams. And now we've switched over to some gameplay here. So I felt this was a little bit easier to talk about the team compared to what we would have previously with the database. I feel like it's a lot easier to talk about the team here. Obviously we don't get damage numbers here, but this is how the team is going to look when you actually run it. Now, one thing about this team is that this team pretty much can't clear it after level 31. Remember, this is a full free-to-play team, so if you have rare recruit characters, it's going to make it a lot easier for you. This team will not work post level 30 because this has no way for this team to get around the block slots unless if you have other replacements to help you do that. The way that we're getting around block slots on the final stage, though, is we're using the special ability of Douglas Bullet, which has this really cool support character that attaches to him that allows us to change block slots into matching. And then, of course, Bullet himself gives a 2x color affinity to our quick units. Now, King is a very interesting unit here. King is very good for the fact that you can actually go ahead and use his special ability on stage 2, and if you've activated an attack boost on that stage as well, his special ability will automatically activate in the following turn. And the great thing about that is that if his captain effect activates to launch his special, that will not activate the special interrupt of Jack. So prior to that, we have to get around the defense, and luckily Kucha Pirates are a great option for that. They enable us to remove the defense up. They give an attack boost to Free Spirit and shooters, which doesn't really make that much of a difference, but it's just a really nice way to get around that fight, and allowing us to actually get the effect of King to activate in the final stage. Also, Basil Hawkins just enables us to get some matching slots for stage 2 as well, just to make sure that we do kill that stage in one turn. And then for the final stage, we still have to get rid of the paralysis, and we have the 2 characters here with Robbie and Margaret, both of which remove a few turns of paralysis each. And then also Margaret's pretty good because she's also an attack booster to quick units, so we're able to have that. That unit is obviously available on the KIZUNA exchange, I believe, KIZUNA shop, to use insignia to purchase that unit. Actually a pretty good regular unit, and has a very good support unit too. So in terms of damage, it's not really going to have any problems pre-level 30, but obviously if you get to level 30 and you are using a similar team to this, you do need a way to get around that special bind a little bit later on in the quest. So the next boss that we're having a look at here is the KIZUNA Clash versus Jack, the quick boss. So obviously it's a quick boss, we ideally want to be bringing some DEX characters. So with this fight, the characters that receive cooldown are red, green, and purple characters. These characters receive minus 15 cooldown at the start of the quest. Moving on to stage 2 though, we have this mini-boss queen here, who is going to go ahead and have 2.5 million HP, and also have resilience, 4 turns of resilience. So finding a way around that is actually not that difficult, so long as you have the friend captains available, of course, but it's actually not that difficult to get around. We'll talk about it in a moment. And then the final boss fight versus Jack, obviously it's a quick boss, he's going to be quick, he has damage threshold, we have to get around that, and he also will go ahead and change our slots. So he changes all your slots to badly matching, and he has 5 turns of damage threshold. He also has, you know, the pretty typical stuff. He has the immunity and also blow away immunity. Normal attacks only is obviously still present, but after level 32, your top and middle row will get 3 turns of special reverse. And no, this doesn't mean it's 3 turns and then after the preemptive it's only 2 turns. What it is, it's 4 turns of reverse. After the preemptive concludes, you have 3 turns of special reverse for your top and your middle row. It's very annoying to get around. It means that you probably will need multiple different characters that can provide special reverse mechanics in order to get your specials required for that boss fight. Pretty annoying actually. If you don't kill him on first turn, you get hit with the hunger, but of course there's also a special interrupt. If you use any attack boosting special, it's going to reduce or remove your beneficial effects and your accumulated values. A very annoying boss fight, but of course there is a very, very clear way through this fight, as seen here with the friend captain queen. You're able to get through a lot of these fights very easily here with this queen. Really, really good. So let's go ahead now and jump over to the game and see the free-to-play team for this quest. So back in game now, for this quest here, we're using the friend captain queen, of course. We did mention that a little earlier, makes things very easy, but also using the own captain Kaido. This is the brand new treasure map Kaido that just came out. Great captain effect, -2 cooldown to Dex, and also giving Dex characters a flat 4x boost. For a free-to-play captain, he's actually very good. Now, for the other characters on this team, we'll talk about them in a moment, but remember, on stage 2, we have to deal with resilience. That's typically pretty annoying to get around. Luckily, Queen has a really cool effect, right, where if his special ability was activated during that turn, he does 500 times his attack in Dex damage at the end of that turn. Meaning you can activate him on stage 2, and the end of turn damage will bypass that resilience. Now, one thing that we do want though, we need to activate some type of orb boost to guarantee that his special ability will activate at the start of stage 3, allowing you to get an attack boost for free without having to worry about the enemy's special interrupt. And the way that we do that is with Kaido. Now, you launch Queen first to give your entire team a 2.5 attack boost, and then with this guy right here, he reduces damage nullification. That doesn't really matter. He gives himself a Wano slot, but then boosts his own attack and orbs by 3 times for 1 turn. This means that you're going to be getting an orb boost active, allowing Queen to activate, meaning you can use his super type in the following turn, at least to, give you additional color affinity, giving you a full board of slots. He automatically activates. Remember, on stage 2, you want to actually hit your 3 perfects, despite the fact that he has resilience, because that means Queen will give you chain boundary in the following turn. Makes things very, very good. But as we said, we need to talk about the final boss stage. Remember, after level 30, this team can actually still beat it. This team does a lot of damage. You can actually get around it, the special cooldown, because when Queen activates at the start of stage 3, he gives you 1 cooldown. You also have the Nami and Robbie, which also give you an additional cooldown, and you also have the old school free-to-play Zoro character who also reduces the cooldown of Dex characters by 1 turn. Now remember, only the top and middle row get special reverse. Your bottom row do not get touched, meaning you can use the Queen special activation that automatically happens, Nami or Robbie, and Zoro to give you all of those special cooldowns. Remember, Nami or Robbie also give your team an orb boost as well, so you've got an attack boost with Queen, chain boundary with Queen, orb boost with Nami, very, very good. And then your middle row characters, you've also got Bonnie to help you get rid of that damage threshold. And then you've got Judge to give you color affinity, 2 times color affinity. This team easily does over 100 million, probably does close to 200 million if I had to guess. This is a pretty good free-to-play team that shouldn't have any issues with this quest. And now we can have a look at the final boss, which is the KIZUNA Jack skill attribute, so the green boss. Of course, strength units are going to be very ideal here. So a little bit different from the previous 2 variations, this time only certain classes receive the cooldown, so this time it's Free Spirit, Slasher, and Powerhouse. Those are the characters you want to be bringing, so strength units that are Free Spirit, Slasher, and Powerhouse are the more ideal units to be bringing here. The second floor here, you can see it's versus page 1. He's an int character, which is interesting. Yeah, fitting. 2.5 million health, and he just gives your crew 4 turns of attack down. That's basically it. He also blow off the lower 2 bodies, my god, by 3 turns, and then also reverse. So, yeah, you probably want to kill him turn 1. You don't want to deal with that, okay? Final boss versus Jack, obviously a Dex unit. This time he's got a lot going on. He's got immunity, 5 turns of Rainbow Shield, blow away immunity and health cut reduction, normal attacks only, despair given to your captains, anything else. So yeah, despair given to your captains for 8 turns, 5 turns of Rainbow Shield, normal attacks only. He has the health cut resistance, the defeat skill, so blow away immunity, and also normal regular immunity. And after level 30, your captains will be sealed, binded for 8 turns. 8 turns of bind. So after level 30, your captains will be given 8 turns of bind and 8 turns of despair, okay? So it's not that bad. I mean, it's 5 turns of bind and despair. Shouldn't be too difficult to find a character that removes 2 of those. And then another special interrupt is that if you use a color affinity boost, your tap count will be limited to 4. Now, that isn't that bad of a debuff. If you have a really good chain locker, you could probably, like, disregard this at all. Like, it really doesn't matter, unless if it's not mentioned here that they actually, like, blow away your beneficial effects. It's probably not as bad as what it actually seems. Obviously, it's not ideal, but you could probably get around it if you need to use a color affinity boost. But let's go ahead and jump into the game and see what we have for a free-to-play team versus the DEX Variation of Jack. Alright, so jumping in game here, this is my free-to-play team versus the DEX Variation of Jack. Now, obviously, this friend captain is not ideal. This is not the actual friend captain you want to use. Obviously, this is referring to Toki. You want to be using Toki, Momonosuke Hiyori. That is the ideal friend captain for this fight. Remember that Toki has a color affinity boosting super type, which allows you to kind of mitigate the special interrupt that happens versus Jack. But talking about the rest of the team, remember we have to deal with the attack down on stage 2. This is where this strength free-to-play Pedro comes in. He actually has a pretty good special ability that allows us to remove the attack down by 4 turns, which is just exactly what we need. Also, Lin isn't really required for the final boss fight, so she's like a unit I just kind of chucked in. You just use Lin, you can use your Pedro, you get a really big boost, you also get access to the attack down removal, so yeah, that would be what I would be doing for that final boss room. Speaking of the final boss as well, you could talk about the Ace and Marco character. They're a really good strength boosting captain effect. 3.75 is pretty ridiculous, honestly. But ideally, obviously, you can use your Toki special on your 2 captains before you move into the final boss room. This would allow them to just completely avoid the bind and despair that would be inflicted to them when you reach the final stage. However, though, I do have the Buggy on this team who also removes bind and despair, and if you've got a free spirit captain, he changes all slots, including block, into matching. So it gives you a full board of matching slots, which is pretty good, but of course, you don't really need to care about the bind and despair removal if you've got Toki as the friend captain and you use Toki properly. But also, we've got this free-to-play Cavendish, which came out when the super types first came out with Luffy, Sabo, Blackbeard, and Katakuri. This Cavendish, is really good. He does remove 5 turns of Rainbow Shield, which is exactly what the final boss of Jack actually has, but he also gives you a 2.75 times chain lock, shock for 2 turns, allowing you to just hit immediately with your characters and not really have to worry about it. You don't really need to use Toki if you don't want to, but I would highly advise using Toki because you get more tickets, you do more damage obviously with Toki, so it just makes a lot of sense. And then of course all the teams you guys saw in this video today are using the Shark Superb ship. If you're using a Strength, Dex, and Quick Captain on KIZUNA, you might as well use the Shark Superb, allowing you to get the really high attack multipliers, of course. But other than that, that's pretty much all the free-to-play teams that we have in this video today. And with all of that being said, that is going to conclude this video today, talking about the Pirate Alliance KIZUNA Clash versus Jack against all the variations with free-to-play teams. Of course, when the event officially releases, I'll be releasing footage of me taking on all the bosses with the free-to-play teams you guys saw in this video today, as well as my own personal teams that I'll be using in this KIZUNA Clash as well. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video today, and if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.